What if the very thing that opens your eyes also makes you a stranger to the people you love? That is the hidden vision Ram Dass reveals about spiritual awakening. Not a ladder that lifts you above others, but a sudden, unsettling change in how you perceive reality, a seeing through of the separate self that alters your relationships, your language, and your place in the world. Imagine becoming a butterfly in a room full of caterpillars. You are the same life as before, only the inner weather has changed and the room has not. You must learn to speak two languages. This is the heart of what I want to explore with you today. The revelation itself, the ways it fractures ordinary life, the choices you face, and the middle way Ram Dass invites us to walk. Along the way, I'll name images he loved, the caterpillar and the butterfly, the lobster shedding its shell, and I'll try to hold everything in a quietly consoling voice. If this perspective matters to you, subscribe for more conversations about awakening and the work of integrating it into everyday life. When Ram Dass spoke of the hidden vision, he pointed to a simple, radical shift. The experience that the I you thought solid is actually an appearance inside a wider field of awareness. In a glimpse, sometimes sudden, sometimes slow, the borders of your private self thin. Your sense of being a little separate owner of experiences softens, and you begin to perceive that the world is not just objects outside you, but phenomena arising within a living consciousness. That discovery is not metaphysics for a classroom, it is a perceptual event. It changes how breakfast tastes, how grief lands, how you relate to the bill you must pay, and the friend who disappoints you. Call it non-duality, call it unity, call it the hidden vision. The core is this: perception shifts and relationships are never the same. You may still have the same job, the same home, the same family, but you belong now to two frames at once. One frame runs on contracts, time, and the market. The other listens to silence, presence, and an inner gravity that is not measured by success or social approval. If you have tasted that inner clarity even briefly, you know how strange it feels to hold both worlds. The grocery list and the luminous awareness arrive together, and you suddenly understand why so many teachers speak of living in the world but not of it. Seeing this is not an invitation to judge a person who doesn't see it. Ram Dass always cautioned against spiritual superiority. The hidden vision is descriptive. It tells you what happens in perception, not that you are a better person. The cost of the insight is not virtue signaling. It is often a new, quiet loneliness. People who haven't had this perceptual shift may find your new priorities baffling. They might assume you are withdrawing, moralizing, or simply changing in ways that threaten the familiar pattern of relating. And when they attempt to pull you back into your old role, the role that once fit perfectly, tension follows. The caterpillar-butterfly image makes this plain. A caterpillar knows the rules of its little world. It eats the way caterpillars eat. It crawls the way caterpillars crawl. It measures safety by the solidity of the leaf beneath it. The butterfly that emerges has wings and a different vocabulary of movement. It cannot live entirely as a caterpillar again. The act of transformation changes its body and its needs. Similarly, when your inner life reconfigures, your prior forms of connection may no longer resonate. For a while, you appear to others as oddly aloof or flighty, not because you intended to be, but because you are no longer entirely speaking the same language. Then there's the lobster. Consider how hard it is for a lobster to grow when its shell is its protection. To enlarge, the lobster must shed its old shell and be soft and vulnerable for a time until a new shell forms. That soft-shelled interval is hazardous. Predators can exploit it. Currents can injure it. Spiritually speaking, growth demands a similar shedding.
The hidden vision forces you to drop certain defenses, assumptions, and comforts. For a while, you are exposed, emotionally raw, uncertain, unmoored from the social armor that previously kept you safe. This is not failure, it is the biology of change. So, what do people do when they have this hidden vision and then face daily life? The boss, the mortgage, the parents, the friends who still live by the old map? Broadly, they choose between two difficult paths, hiding or authenticity. Hiding looks like living a double life. You perform at work, maintain the old social scripts, and keep the spiritual life in a private compartment. This is understandable. It is often the practical option when duties and dependencies press in. But it comes with a cost. A double life is fragmenting. Energy leaks into secrecy and pretense. You may grow inwardly, but your external world remains misaligned, and the dissonance can breed exhaustion and a quiet self-betrayal. The other path is to embody the change, to let your actions increasingly reflect the inner shift. That requires courage and humility. When you act from the impulse of your new perception, some people will be confused, others will resist or withdraw. The embrace of authenticity can mean losing roles that once defined you. It can mean redefining your relationships, or in some cases, watching them dim. This is where the dark night often arrives. Ram Dass and many contemplatives named a stage that pilgrims on the path dread and yet must pass through, the dark night of the soul. This is not punishment, it is a kind of liminal space between who you have been and who you are becoming. Old identities dissolve before new forms have stabilized, loyalties feel uncertain.
You might grieve the loss of a simpler identity, or you might find your emotions more turbulent as the husks of old coping strategies fall away. The dark night is messy, lonely, and intensely human, but it is not failure. It is evidence of real movement. How do you survive and even find meaning in that liminal zone? Ram Dass suggests a middle way, a path that neither abandons caring for the life you still have, nor betrays the call of what you now know. The middle way is not a compromise. It is a practice of nuanced truthfulness. It asks you to be honest without needlessly wounding others, to remain present for responsibilities while not faking inner consent, to hold attachments lightly while honoring them. The middle way includes small, practical acts, showing up for a family dinner even when your mind wants solitude, setting boundaries when participation would be a false performance, and speaking with tenderness about what is alive in you without demanding that others change. Compassion is central to this way. You must learn to feel kindness toward those who haven't seen what you saw. They are not wrong, they are functioning from a different perceptual ecology. Remembering that helps you to resist the urge to prove your insight or to become contemptuous. Ram Dass would remind us that we were once those caterpillars ourselves. Once your own life was measured by the same conventions and comforts. Humility is the antidote to spiritual superiority. Practical integration also means seeking support with deliberation. Not everyone around you will be ready to hear the language of presence. That does not mean you are alone forever. There are hidden communities, sanghas, small groups, teachers, mentors, and even casual friendships that arise through synchronicity that resonate with the new frequency. Sometimes these connections form slowly. A chance conversation with a barista who is a meditation teacher, a neighboring parent who reads the same books, a book that lands at the precise time you are ready to receive it. Other times they come through intentional searching, joining a local sangha, attending retreats, or finding a teacher whose manner and message fit where you are. A caution here is worth repeating.
Some people seek to shortcut the process or to rely on a single experience as the whole of awakening. Ram Dass and others have noted that psychedelic experiences, for instance, have played a role in some people's breakthroughs. If you have encountered such a doorway, honor it as a meaningful experience, but do not treat it as the only path. It is not necessary for everyone, and it must be approached legally, responsibly, and within a therapeutic container if used. The hidden vision can emerge in quiet sitting, in service, in grief, and in everyday work. It is a matter of maturation of perception more than a single event or technique. Another measure of integration is how you carry vulnerability.
But often what dissolves is not your essential belonging. It is an arrangement that no longer matches your inner truth. Trust that the life you are being invited into is not barren, even if it feels sparse at first. The butterfly is not abandoned when it leaves the caterpillar's shell. It enters a different ecology of movement. If you are worried about being judgmental or aloof as you change, take Ram Dass's counsel of compassionate curiosity. Rather than framing others as unawakened obstacles, view them as fellow travelers at different stages. Ask about their fears, their stories, their comfort zones. You do not have to evangelize your insight. The deepest influence often comes from the quiet consistency of your presence, how you breathe under pressure, how you speak when angry, how you carry grief. The inner shift will radiate outward more by example than by argument. There is another quietly revolutionary thread in this teaching, the idea that the community you lose may be replaced, not necessarily immediately or perfectly, but eventually by people who resonate with your depth. Ram Dass pointed to hidden communities, small groups of people who gather around practice, study, or shared service. These communities are often unflashy. They are not always public. You might find them in a small meditation circle at a local center, a book group that lingers after meetings, a weekend retreat, or even in disciplined online forums. Synchronicity often plays a role. A friend of a friend, a chance course, a book that arrives at the exact time you are ready to read it. Stay open to these small doorways. One way to remain open is to practice generosity. Finding a new tribe does not mean abandoning obligations. Rather, generosity helps you move into new social configurations without clinging. Give time, attention, and service where you can. Teach when asked. Offer practical help. Generosity dissolves the sense that you must prove your worth and invites reciprocal care. It also connects you to life in a grounded way. Service keeps awakening from becoming self-absorbed. I won't pretend this path is easy. The losses are real. The double life is draining. The dark night can stretch and threaten to make you doubt everything. But the hidden vision also brings profound gifts, greater presence in everyday moments, a deeper capacity to meet suffering, and relationships that, when they weather change, often deepen into more authentic connection. The butterfly's flight is not a fantasy. It is a different economy of value. Where previously praise, status, or approval might have been currency, you begin to value clarity, integrity, and the quality of attention you bring to another being. So what do you do when you feel the new perception pressing in, but your world insists on old scripts? Begin with small, kind experiments. Tell a trusted friend that you are in a period of change. Ask for what you need and accept what people can offer.
Keep a small daily practice. 5 minutes of sitting, a moment of mindful breath before a conversation, a brief check-in with your body when tension rises. Be prepared for the dark night, but do not mistake it for the final word. Seek support where you find it, and be patient with the slow chemistry of new friendships. When you are soft like the lobster between shells, take extra care of yourself with rest, nourishment, and basic routines. If you are standing at the edge, newly aware and afraid of what will fall away, let me offer one more image Ram Dass used with tenderness. The ground of being is not a distant abstract. It is the living presence that makes your life possible. When the old maps erase, there is a new map that is not drawn with lines, but felt with attention. That map shows you where care matters, where you can be of service, and where your heart is most true. It may not promise comfort or easy belonging, but it offers freedom to be more of who you are. In closing, remember that the hidden vision is not a claim of higher moral worth. It is a perceptual opening that changes how you relate to yourself and others. As Ram Dass suggests, the challenge is to hold what you have learned with gentle humility, to honor your roots while not betraying your truth, and to keep practicing the middle way, patience, tenderness, and steady attention. The loneliness you may experience is often the necessary passage between forms. It is painful and real, but it is not a sign of failure. On the other side of the dark night, life can feel more honest, more alive, and more connected in unexpected ways. If this spoke to you, share one moment in the comments when you felt between worlds. What helped you then? If you'd like resources on finding community or on practices for this kind of integration, check the description for a curated list inspired by Ram Dass's teachings. For now, return to your breath, keep your practice small and consistent, and trust that the butterfly does not leave the caterpillar out of disdain. It simply lives as what it has become.